Most people see a parked SUV and think dead end, but 10 specific hacks turn that vehicle into a mobile power grid, producing up to 150 kilowatt hours a month. From rooftop solar and gravity-fed charging to body heat insulation and public outlets most people walk right past. Some cost $40. One costs nothing at all. And it starts with an engine you're already paying to run. Number 1. The factory alternator. Most people ignore can become the heart of a mobile power plant if you wire it right. Most people assume running the engine only keeps the starter battery topped off, but a $40 smart isolator transforms that same alternator into a reliable charger for a separate house battery, all without risking a dead start. The trick is a voltage-sensitive relay, fused at 150 amps, paired with heavy 4-gauge cable. This setup safely channels up to 130 amps at 14.2 volts, enough to deliver nearly 1,850 watts while the engine runs. Mike, a mechanic living in his Suburban, puts it simply: if you wire the isolator wrong, you will see 0.5 amps on the meter and wonder why your battery is still dead. With the right install, a 125 amp-hour AGM bank holds about 1,500 watt-hours, enough to charge phones, run lights, or power a laptop all night. The real breakthrough is not just free power on the move, but knowing your starter battery will always be ready for the next drive. As Mike says, the isolator means I can work late, sleep in, and never worry about getting stranded. A flat-mounted 200-watt flexible solar panel, secured with industrial adhesive or heavy-duty Velcro, turns any SUV roof into a silent power station. Even mounted flat, it quietly generates about 1.1 kilowatt hours on a sunny day. That is enough to fill a 100 amp-hour battery in 5 to 6 hours if you park to catch peak sun. Laura, living out of her RAV4, relies on sun angle parking and insists that if you park in the shade, you might as well have left the panel in the box. Flat mounting cuts output to about half the rated wattage, but the payoff is passive, engine off charging. The panel costs around $180, with a Smart MP PT, controller and fuse adding about $50 more. Low-profile panels blend in, offering a bit of theft protection and stealth. Third on our list, the cigarette lighter socket is often dismissed as too weak for real power needs, but paired with a deep cycle battery and a DC to DC charger, it quietly becomes a lifeline for off-grid living. Most people think the 12-volt accessory port is just for phone chargers or dash cams, yet it can safely deliver up to 120 watts, enough to top up a 100 amp-hour AGM battery during daily errands. Jenna, who lives out of her Kia Sorento, plugs in a $45 DC to DC charger while driving to work. Jenna says she gets about 10 amps flowing into her battery, no tools, no hood open. The battery bank, about $150 for 1.2 kilowatt hours, runs a small fan for 40 hours or charges her phone 30 times before needing a refill. A $25 inverter adds alternating current power for a laptop, though the socket's 10 to 15 amp fuse means you have to respect the limits, and if you push too hard, you will blow the line. The real trick is letting the car's own wiring do the heavy lifting, no engine bay mods required. Jenna likes to say, if you can plug in a GPS, you can have power all night. Cooling a parked SUV does not have to drain half a gallon of fuel per hour. By pairing a rooftop mini turbine with a 40 to 60 watt thermoelectric cooler, some travelers sidestep the need to idle for air conditioning. Even a 10-inch turbine mounted on a roof rack can supply 2 to 5 watts in a steady breeze, enough for a slow battery top-up overnight. The real trick is pre-cooling with alternator power while driving, then letting stored energy and the turbine handle the cooler after parking. The upfront cost is modest, $50 to $80 for the cooler, $40 for the turbine, plus a few dollars for mounting. As Terry, a former trucker, puts it, I'd rather hear the wind spin a little fan than listen to my wallet empty at the pump. Number 5. The road itself becomes a power source if you know how to use it. Most drivers coast downhill and let gravity do the work. But SUV dwellers, every descent is a chance to fill the battery bank without burning extra fuel or buying new gear. By mapping out a series of 5% grades and keeping the engine in gear, the alternator stays spinning at a sweet spot, delivering a steady 20 amp bump above idle, sometimes adding half an amp hour for every mile of descent. Sam, who tracks his routes around Minneapolis with a GPS logger, swears by heavy 2-gauge cable and a properly fused isolator. He says, "You want the charge, not a meltdown. Run a 200 amp fuse and check your revolutions per minute. The trick is to keep engine speed below 4,500 revolutions per minute, where the alternator's cooling fan can keep up, and voltage stays in the safe range, 13.8 to 14.4 volts. No extra hardware, just a smarter way to drive." Or as Sam puts it, "If you know how to read a hill, you never run out of power before you run out of road." Number 6. The cheapest electricity is not always harvested from the sun or squeezed out of a battery. It is quietly borrowed from the wall at a public library or cafe. Most people think plugging in a phone for an hour or two barely matters. But for SUV dwellers like Aisha, a $2 coffee buys 90 minutes of guaranteed power, Wi-Fi, and a warm place to regroup. The math is almost absurd. A 15 amp, 120 volt outlet delivers up to 1,800 watts. Charging a 500 watt-hour power station over 5 hours draws less than 10 amps. That is barely a blip on the cafe's bill, costing the venue under a penny in electricity. Aisha tracks every minute in her CRV accountant spreadsheet. The math comes out to 2.2 cents per minute, all in, including the coffee. The real trick is etiquette. Never block an outlet, keep cords tidy, and thank the staff. As Aisha puts it, respect the rules, tip well, and you will never run out of power or goodwill. For those who know how to ask, the city's social grid quietly fills the gaps that solar panels and alternators cannot. Number 7. The real game changer isn't always adding another battery or panel. It's stopping the heat from escaping in the first place. Most people assume a car's metal shell is enough to hold warmth, but a single layer of glass or steel bleeds body heat all night. For less than $30, a roll of Reflectix, cut to fit each window and mounted with Velcro, creates a radiant barrier that slows heat loss by about 30%. Thermal camera shots from a Minnesota winter show the proof. With 2 inches of Reflectix, interior temperatures stay higher, and a 5-watt battery heater lasts nearly 6 hours instead of 2. Ben, who winters in his Subaru, swears by his thermal tent, a cocoon of Reflectix zipped around his sleeping area. The science is simple. Every person puts out 80 to 100 watts of body heat, and R3 insulation per inch means that warmth sticks around. As Ben puts it, insulation's the only upgrade that pays you back every single night. No wires, no fuel, just less cold and more sleep. Number 8. Most people assume that portable solar power means a tangle of wires, mismatched panels, and do-it-yourself repairs. But a plug-and-play solar generator like the 256 watt-hour all-in-one unit, Mia keeps in her Nissan turns that chaos into quiet confidence. The entire system weighs just 7 pounds and fits behind a seat, with an 80-watt panel that unfolds in seconds. Built in MPPT. Charging means it squeezes out every watt from the sun, and the 300-watt inverter handles laptops, fans, or even a small blender. Mia swears by the 5-hour recharge window. She says, "If I get 4 hours of good sun, I am set for the night." At $399, it is not the cheapest per watt hour, but for those who value safety certifications and zero installation, the math works out, especially when you factor in the lithium-ion pack's 1,000-cycle lifespan. The real payoff is peace of mind. As Mia says, "I can charge up at the park, at work, or on the move. No tools, no stress, just power when I need it." Number 9. Hybrid SUVs do not just save gas. They quietly turn every stoplight into a power-up. Most people think regenerative braking is only about better mileage, but in a hybrid, each press of the brake pedal can send a burst of 30 to 50 kilowatts back through the system. With the right DC to DC wiring and a smart isolator, that energy is not wasted. It feeds straight into a 12-volt house battery, topping up about 200 watt-hours for every cycle of city stop and go. Olivia, who has lived out of her Highlander hybrid for nearly a year, tracks her charge with a dashboard meter. She says, "In Seattle traffic, I see the needle bounce every time I slow down, and by the end of the day, my house battery's full without burning a drop extra." For non-hybrids, smooth deceleration in low gear mimics the effect, but hybrids deliver a high-tech edge, especially when the isolator stays engaged during regenerative braking. Safety matters. Always check your warranty before tapping the high voltage side, and use a properly fused isolator to avoid frying the system. Hundreds of watt-hours per hour of city driving is not just a technical trick. It is what lets Olivia work online after dark and keep her phone charged for job alerts. Her line is, "If your SUV can harvest stoplights, the city grid is just a bonus, not a lifeline." And finally, in first place, the real breakthrough isn't a gadget or a wiring trick. It's the way free energy becomes a stepping stone out of homelessness. Most people see a phone charger or a rooftop solar panel as just survival gear. But for SUV dwellers like Mia, those 150 kilowatt hours a month open the door to something bigger, a steady income. Over 11 months, Mia tracked every amp hour and every dollar, building a micro business charging phones for $1 per hour. Enough to bring in $240 a month, all from a dashboard outlet and a folding table. With a fully charged phone, she could respond to job listings in under 5 minutes, a speed that, according to hiring coaches, makes you 20 times more likely to land an interview. By month 11, she had saved up for a refurbished laptop and landed remote IT work. She puts it this way: electricity isn't just light or heat. It's the difference between waiting in line and getting the call. In the end, the sum of all these hacks is more than a battery bank. It's a pathway, 1 kilowatt hour at a time, from parked on the curb to back on the payroll. Across all 10 hacks, one pattern stands out. Necessity drives innovation. When power is scarce, resourcefulness and a multimeter outthink scarcity every time. As Marcus, a suburban mechanic, puts it, you don't wait for luck, you wire it yourself. For SUV dwellers, energy is not charity. It is self-reliance, circuit by circuit.